Hello, my Doomscribblers. I have been away for a while. There have been a few things going on in my real life. If you know me in the real world, you'll have some clue about what those things are. But I want to get us back on track because we are facing a kind of collective mission fatigue, which is really normal in something of this scope. And one of the reasons that we are getting into this mission fatigue is we don't have an immediate reward. And for people to perform, there are certain things that they need to hit to keep performing. And one of those things is a reward. And I think a lot of us are not good at rewarding ourselves. This project has gone on much longer than any of us had anticipated. And even once we launch on Amazon, we're not going to see returns for some time, right? Amazon has got a 60-day lag between when they pay you. And anyway, we're going to pay Errata first. So we've got this really, really crucial element missing from our project. But the other thing that we are missing is the feedback loop is longer than the human brain optimally prefers. So for writers, quite often that feedback loop is quite long. But for human beings, the closer you can get feedback to performance, the more likely you are to be able to correct whatever it is you need to correct and get yourself back on track. So if you, one of the books that I recommended fairly early on was Bounce, which is just superb, really good. It's a lot like Malcolm Gladwell's book, The Outliers. I prefer Bounce. I think it's just about style. That's what it's really about. But the hypothesis behind those two books is that for excellent performance, there are a few things you need. The first is practice, and everyone has heard about the 10,000 hour rule, right? So in order to reach mastery in any given area of expertise, you probably have to put in something like 10,000 hours of practice. I think it's Gladwell's book. He talks about the Beatles. You know, by the time they were an overnight success, they'd been playing in bars and in venues for quite a long time before they broke. If you were a piano player, if you were a tennis player, if you were any kind of an athlete, you would not expect to walk onto the court or the pitch and just be able to be at peak performance. But for writers, we expect to be at peak performance really fast, right? And we expect to do it on our own, and we expect to do it without having somebody who can do that corrective thing for us. Going back to both Outliers and Bounce, the two books that I'm recommending. Bounce is better. So 10,000 hours of practice with somebody who knows what they're doing. So some kind of a mentor who is already in that space. Now, how do you do that if you're a writer? You can go into an MFA program. For some of us, that would have been the kiss of death because they are geared to a certain kind of writing. They are geared to literary writing. And I already had so much fuck up in my head about, you know, my English teacher saying, well, you're not Jane Austen. And she probably meant something different than what she was saying to a 14-year-old at that time. But it wrecked me, and it wrecked me for over a decade because I wasn't Jane Austen. And if I had gone into an MFA program and people had word fucked every single paragraph that I wrote, I would have stopped writing because I just simply was not robust enough. I did not have enough of an ego barrier between me and my work to be able to have somebody tell me, oh, this isn't working. The other problem with people telling you that things aren't working is, do they know what the fuck they're talking about? And lots of people don't know what they're talking about. I just had a really, really great experience with a genre that's not new to me, but a version of that genre that is new to me. And what was fascinating about writing something that was a subgenre that was new to me was the things that I missed. The version of you don't know what you don't know. And there are a few ways that you can get to know what you need to know in your genre. The first is to read as deeply as you can. And for the Doomscribblers, you need to be reading more post-apoc, people. I'm seeing way more action-adventure, drama, and intrigue, kind of spy-ish intrigue stories than I'm seeing straight up and down post-apoc. And I've been saying this week after week, but you're gonna have to get on board, or we're gonna have to ditch stuff and come back and redo it, because we've got to hit that for our readers. So you've got your 10,000 hours, you've got your expert, and that expert, as I said, could be an MFA, could be you immersing yourself in your genre, could be having a group that is a group of people that you trust who have some expertise in what you're doing. So a kind of feedback group. I'm really hoping some of you get together when this is over and turn into each other's critique buddies, because you're really learning what to look out for and what to ignore. We are going to talk in the coming weeks about all of the rules that we have studied together, guidelines, all of the guidelines that we have studied together. And then once you really, really, truly understand those guidelines, what you can and can't break, because you can and can't break some of them. So what have we got? We've got 10,000 hours. We've got an expert, which could be all kinds of different routes that you're going to go. And we've got that feedback loop. And the closer that feedback loop is to you doing the thing and getting feedback from somebody who knows what they're talking about and can set you back on the right path, the more likely it is that you are going to get it right. So what does that mean for us? That probably means that your rewrites should be pretty soon after you get feedback from me. Not all the feedback that you're getting from your peer reviews is necessarily stuff that you want to act on. We've got this really, really broad range of plotters and pantsers, rule followers and rule breakers, and especially in the early days when we were just getting down to the nuts and bolts of how are we going to write close third, what rules are we going to enact, what is in the editing primer that I wrote for you, and the rules-based people are treating those as absolute. And so, for example, a lot of rules-based people will flag every single adverb that you ever write, and that's not actually what we need to do. We need to get telling to an absolute minimum, because we're writing in close third and we're writing an action-oriented genre. But that doesn't mean that there are no adverbs. So that's one of the things that we're going to discuss in the coming weeks as one of the things that we can break and how we can break it. I need all of you to up your self-editing game. If you are going to go the traditional route, then you are going to spend years editing the same book. Erin and I are currently co-writing a series, and we went to a book coach to help us get on the right track, and it was absolutely superb. We rewrote the first 4 chapters, so 12,000 words. We completely ditched and rewrote from the get-go to get the tone right. And they were small changes, but they were really significant changes. And if you're going to go trad, then you're going to spend time with your agent, with your editor, with your publisher, and possibly with sensitivity readers who are going to pound your sentences into order so that you can hit the market. They don't talk about it in the same terms, they talk about it in literary terms, but they're talking about meeting market expectations. That's why they spend that long pounding your book into shape. Now, if you're going to go indie, it's a much, much shorter route, but you still have to meet reader expectations. And to do that, you need to, as I said, you need to be very, very widely read in your genre. You need to find somebody who knows hopefully a bit more than you. You need a beta group or a reader group or a writer group who gives you feedback as close to real time as you can possibly get. And depending on how much money you have got to spend on editors, you need to train yourself to edit your stuff to meet reader expectation. I've already recommended this book before, but I'm going to recommend it again. If you want to save money as a writer, this is a fantastic book to use. Similarly, I'm really liking Marcy Kennedy's series. I have told you many times that I am not a line editor. I'm not a line editor for a lot of reasons. One of them is because I'm a rule breaker. But I'm very happy to tell you that she has got a section in the back about, oh, look at that. So this is something we really care about and people are still getting wrong. Reversing cause and effect. You're getting notes about this from Anne-Marie, aren't you? Because a lot of people are still getting that wrong. So she has got this rules you can safely ignore when writing fiction, which is absolutely my favorite. So sentence fragments are fine. They are used for literary effect, split infinitives, beginning the sentence with a conjunction, ending a sentence with a preposition, and dialogue. So she's got these just terrific notes, and they're really short. They're really short and they're really actionable, and she's got a glossary so you can understand what it is she's talking about. I'd say over half the people in the room still need to work on their grammar. You're using and but wrong. You are using definite and indefinite articles wrong. You are using so and when wrong. And they all sound like tiny things, right? But if you break those things, it isn't just the snotty snobs who are going to be snickering behind their hands at, oh, you don't understand grammar. You actually break faith with the readers. When you do something, they might not be able to put their finger on it, but if you don't understand the rules, and many of you don't still understand the rules, you're good at telling stories, but there's just technical shit you're getting wrong. You've got to get it right. So, what do? You can hire a line editor. That would never be me. Or you can learn this yourself. And I'm really going to recommend that you learn it because in the long run, it's going to save you a ton of money. Okay, so this is just me saying hello again. I've got lots on my mind. We're going to be talking about different things that I've been reading and how they are landing. Oh, there's a bunch more as well. But really, I just want to get us back on track, and I want to get us back on track partly by talking about that feedback loop and how we are talking to each other in the rooms. I was a bit waffly. I apologize. I'll come back with something better. Bye.